Hello, and welcome to the Hormone Genius podcast. And we are excited to be here with you all today. And we have a very special guest. Kari Beadner is with us. Kari is a holistic women's health advocate, and she is here with years of experience of not only teaching young women, but tween women from 9 to 13 years old. So one of the things that Jamie and I have noticed since we started the podcast, that we are getting a lot of requests from mothers about how they're supposed to help their young daughters learn this information. And we are listening to that request, and we have got an expert for you because Kari has been teaching for a long time, and she's also the national coordinator for a program called the Guiding Star Cycle Show, which is an awesome online mother-daughter course that she has put together called Charting Health for Young Women, which I actually participated in with my daughter, and it was absolutely incredible. So we're excited to have her here today to talk to us about how we really can approach this with our daughters and young women growing into being beautiful women and knowing their bodies and knowing their cycles. And Kari's coming from Orange City, Iowa, a beautiful little town. And welcome, Kari, to the Hormone Genius podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I am absolutely ecstatic to be here with you guys today.
Yeah, we are excited. So Kari and I go way back. We actually sat next to each other during our Creighton training. So we knew we were both from Iowa. We're like, okay, well, we better sit next to each other then. Then we did. We became friends, and it's just so funny how God intersects paths of people all the time. So it's just cool. So Kari, let our listeners know a little bit about you. Give us a little intro of Kari Beadner.
Sure. Yeah. As Jamie said, we've known each other since 2012 was when we sat down together. Jamie was pregnant with her little girl, and mine had just turned 1. And my daughter's now 9 and a preteen or a tween and going into this time. Yes, as Teresa said, we live in Orange City, Iowa, and we love it here. It is beautiful. Teresa's come to visit us, and it's been wonderful to have her. I love working with these ladies. I'm wearing the Hormones Are Cool from the Hormones.
Looks awesome.
And that truly is it. Believe it or not, when I found out that I was pregnant with my first child, I did not want to have a daughter. And it was because of what our culture has said about about women and about how they're crazy and they're hormonal and all of that. I have 4 older sisters, and I lived that. And I was scared to death when I found out that I was having a girl. And so fast forward, now here I am leading women to learn about their own bodies and then be able to pass it on to their daughters. And I truly believe that we are going to flip the script. We are going to change this culture and make women and young girls be able to say, I love being a woman. And it is wonderful. And we have so much purpose and passion to give to the world. So here in Orange City, Iowa, we moved here from Redding, California 10 years ago. I was 28 weeks pregnant with our daughter as we moved over, and really sight unseen. We came because my husband got a job. And after our daughter was born, I learned about the Creighton Model Fertility Care System. Before that point, I was using a self-monitoring system after months being on the birth control pill. And I was just astounded that at 31 years old with my first child was the first time I actually learned how my body worked. And so it's now my passion to share that with others. As Teresa shared, I am a Creighton Model Fertility Care practitioner, and I opened Ashwood Fertility Care Center, and we have 5 practitioners here serving women, and we've served over 350 clients, and it's just been amazing. Along the way, I became a birth doula, and after all of my clients just continued to say, why didn't I learn about this sooner? I went on a search for a program to teach young women, and I found one, and that was the Cycle Show out of Germany. So I did the hard work and brought this program over to America, and it is a dynamic program that we'll talk more about. But because this program is in person and 5 hours long, we're trying to spread it out as much as we can. But moms, you need this information now. And so that's why I developed an online course for mothers and daughters as well, which is Charting Health for Young Women. So that's what I spend my time doing, is just sharing this information to every woman, no matter if she wants to hear it or not, and pray that she'll be touched.
Kari, how do you have any time for anything else?
Right.
That sounded like a lot.
3 days a week and then take care of my children. I do have, yes, I said a 9-year-old daughter, Abby, 6-year-old son, Hudson. We miscarried our third baby at about 6 weeks. Her name is Ashley. And then we have our rainbow baby, Wyatt, who's 3.5. And they definitely keep me on my toes for sure.
Well, I think you're totally right, Kari, that every woman, once they learn the information, and if they were not informed, which is probably most of us, then this passion kind of ensues, or almost a frustration, or like, I cannot let this happen to my own daughter. Mm-hmm. So, but because it's new to us, I think we're always just unsure about how we approach the issue, and especially at certain ages and development. And that's why this program is so important. And I mean, I feel like you're going to have people all over now, really contacting you, because again, we've seen this over and over. Women are like, how do I teach my young girls? I really didn't expect that from the podcast to be kind of the question I was getting often. So tell us about the Cycle Show, that program. Tell us about your online program and how it really helps to really introduce the beauty and gift of the feminine design.
Sure, absolutely. And I agree with you. It's got to be out of this awe and wonder that we have about our own bodies that makes us want to take care of them better. So many of us say like, oh, once I found out how my cycle worked, once I found out that ovulation and menstruation are good things and not things I want to shut off, I want to take better care of my body. I want to be healthier in all aspects of my life. And so Dr. Elizabeth Reith-Paula, who is the author of The Cycle Show in Germany, she actually says becoming enthusiastic about one's own body must be the very first step in sex education. And that is it, right? And so she has this mission of, I can only protect what I value and respect. Because again, she believes that if we treasure our bodies as something that are valuable, that we're only going to want to protect it and take better care of it. So, what is probably the biggest scary thing, having a daughter that's in her teen years? Probably teen pregnancy, right? You don't want your daughter to become pregnant. And I'm in these Facebook groups of moms of teens. And the biggest question that's on there is, which birth control should I choose for my daughter? And you'll have 100 women say, oh, this one made her periods better. This one fixed it all. And I come in there and I'm like, how about we teach them about their natural cycles and their fertility so that they can take care of it? And some of them are like, whoa, I've never heard that before. I've never thought about that. And why is that? Because the mothers don't know either, right? We have a couple of generations of women now that have been believing a lie that they didn't even know. And this lie is, to be a woman in this world, I have to be on medication or have a device put in my body to function and be successful. And now women are rising up, and we should be encouraged that there are so many women rising up saying, no, there's got to be a better way. And we know that there is, and the Hormone Genius podcast is doing this. You guys are breaking through, and women are hearing for the very first time, wow, my body has been made good. And what I really want women to know is that we each have a unique natural cycle. My cycle does not look like Jamie's, and my cycle does not look like Teresa's. And at different phases in our lives, it's going to look different as well. And there's going to be challenges, but we can move through those challenges. And as mothers, we can walk through those challenges as well with our daughters. So as we approach this whole idea of puberty and really this beautiful transformation from a girl into a woman, we have to come to it with a sense of joy. And we need to pass this wonder and awe on to our daughters so that we can stop this cycle of it is horrible to be a woman. And all women are so hormonal, just like I felt when I found out I was having a baby girl. I was really sad. It took me actually a few days to be okay with it and to be moving on. And now that my daughter is going into this time of puberty, I'm super excited. And I think back what would it have been like if I hadn't learned how my body worked? I would probably be like a large amount of women in this world that are just thinking about, oh, I just got to get my daughter on the birth control pill as soon as she starts her cycles. And so that's where we really need to start, is bringing awe and wonder back to the fact that women are beautiful. Women are made in such an amazing way, and we need to let them live naturally and normally without putting chemicals and devices in to interrupt that when we think it might be challenging.
Totally. Kari, thank you so much. That was so inspiring, and it's only been a few minutes. Something I often think about when I think about parenting, you know, the tweens and the teens, and they're cycling, and maybe there's, you know, acne or some issue where the mom just really doesn't know, should I put her on the pill or should I not? Or, you know, she's worried about like the, you know, unplanned pregnancy sort of situation. I love how you brought that in. Like, you know, we can only value and protect what we understand and respect. Is that what the saying is?
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. Like the decisions our young women will make, we pray, will be that they understand and respect their body. They will make a different decision. Likely they'll understand, you know, am I ready to have a child? Answer is probably no if they're in high school. Do I know that I can get pregnant? Some people don't understand that. They think that, you know, if they're on the pill, they won't. Well, that's not actually the case. And so once I become pregnant, then what will I do? And so these are questions that parents need to be having with their daughters and asking themselves, you know, if they're on the pill, they get pregnant, what will we do? Right. And so I'm glad that you brought that in because it's so important. Another thing I was thinking too is, you know, parents, and I can speak for myself, just like you, Kari, if I didn't know what I knew, it is very likely that I would do just what everyone else did. Right. You know, my daughter is in her teenage years, but something I've learned about the birth control pill is how it changes the essence of us, because they're synthetic hormones. They're not our circulating hormones. If we're shutting those off and we're feeding ourselves something that's not of us, something that's outside of us, it's changing the essence, because hormones affect a lot of things, including our mood and everything else. So talk to us about some of the like transformational stories, or maybe even testimonials from mothers that you've worked with, daughters that you've worked with, and kind of share with us the power behind knowing that information.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think a lot of it at this point, because I've only been working for 8 years in this area, is the transformation from young women who say, I was put on the birth control pill when I was 12, and I came off of it when I got married and wanted to have kids. And I thought when I came off the pill that I would just be able to do so. And they find that they have massive challenge and they're unable to achieve pregnancy. And I actually asked this question to my client group a couple of weeks ago. I said, if you were put on the pill as a teenager, how did you, now looking back, would you have allowed that to happen to you? And they all said, absolutely no. Mm-hmm. And we have to think about this, because when you have this young girl who, of course, we've talked about this on this podcast before, that it takes about 3 to 5 years for her cycles to get normal. And that development from a girl becoming a woman, there's so many changes happening in the body. And when we throw another chemical in there, it really messes things up. So when you have a young girl in a doctor's office and she's asking for the pill, or the mom is asking to put her on the pill, because moms love their girls. They don't want them to be in pain. They don't want them to have these challenges that they maybe think they're having. And the doctors usually don't have a lot of other resources to give them. So they put them on. But that young girl was never asked, are you okay with the fact that this might change your whole being? Are you okay with the fact that this may make it difficult to achieve pregnancy in the future? A 12-year-old isn't thinking about what her life is going to be like later on, right? She's like, well, I don't want babies right now. And as far as I know, I can just flip this on and off my fertility. We're not light switches. We can't do that. And so I think it's really important for us to think about consent in this situation, because if you're putting the birth control pill on a young girl, then she goes 5 years or 10 years later and then tries to come off of it, she finds out with regret that her body was changed, and she actually didn't have the choice to make in that situation, because her doctor and her mom were saying this is going to be good for you, because that's what they thought too, what they knew too, right? So that's really, really important for us to consider what the after effects are going to be in that. And so what I like to share too is that many mothers come to me and say, my 16-year-old daughter wants to be on the pill. What do I do? You know, how do I confront that? And I always say, tell her, you know what? Before you put a chemical into your body that's going to shut off a normal function of your body, you need to have all the information in order to make this choice as an adult, right? And 16-year-olds think they're adults. They pretty much are. I mean, they're women. They have all of the functions to bring life into the world, really, at that point. They need to have all the information. And Jamie says this a lot too. If you don't have all of the information to make a choice, you don't have the ability to make a good choice, right? So I tell them, you know, have them sit in on an intro session of any fertility awareness-based method. You know, another great resource is the What's Going On in My Body book that Elizabeth Reith Paula wrote to go along with the cycle show. In the back of the book, it talks all about contraception, all methods. And I think she does a really great job in using just the scientific evidence of what each method does to the body. The word cycle show is actually relating to what's happening within our body between the periods. And so in this understanding and explanation of what all of the contraceptive methods do, she says, the pill turns off the cycle show. You just see the curtain, the red curtain, the bleeding on either end of the show, and it just shuts it down. So when these young girls learn in the cycle show what happens in the body when a woman achieves pregnancy, and what happens in the body when she does not achieve pregnancy, and how valuable our hormones are, and how super cool they are, that the pill shuts that off, they can then make their own choice and to say, I don't want that in my body. This is made good. And the same thing goes along with any big choices in our life. If we have the information to be able to say for ourselves, for this young girl to be able to say for herself, that's not a good choice for me, then we won. And that's really what we want, is for them to be able to make these good choices, not only just for their health, but for everything else in their life. And that can continue on in this teaching.
Yeah. And Kari, it just makes me think of a patient that I saw yesterday who was on the pill. She actually kind of under her own accord went on the pill at a very young age, at 13 or 14. And, but I think this is what I am always fascinated by, is the fact that I do think the way that the pill is sold is that there is a complete lack of understanding of what's happening. Like, I really do think it's almost sold as this is healthy, like this will actually make you healthy. And what appears to be happening to that young woman is that they're regular, you know, so in their mind, they're thinking nothing's different. I have a regular cycle. This medicine just puts me into a regular state. It may just make my period better or healthier. And they have no concept of the actual, and is what I explained to this young woman after years now of being on it, that it's the only system in the body that we actually completely stop the natural function of. You know, if you go to a doctor and you have stomach problems and, you know, it continues and you can't figure it out, we don't just shut down the stomach. You know, it's the only system in the body that we seem to really manipulate. And frankly, that's just not, it's not empowering. That's not empowering for women to shut down a natural function of their body. But women are never given that information, to your point about informed consent. And then, you know, we've got a paradox, and this is a lack of it's just a stop and think moment always. If you are organic and you are eating, you know, food that doesn't have hormones in it, and you're trying to live a chemical-free lifestyle, which so many people are, and you're drinking out of that metal water bottle, all those things, it is a paradox to then ingest synthetic hormones into your body on a daily basis. They do not match at all. And that's another thing people need to stop and think about. And when they do, they're like, well, of course. But I just think sometimes, again, it's sold as this is actually healthy for you. Like, this is what you should be taking. And your doctor told you so. So that can be frustrating, I think, for me, just as a provider, I'm just like, wow. But it's empowering too, because I can help women and educate them. Kari, because again, so many mothers want to know where to start. Tell us about your online program, and tell us again what it really entails so that mothers can get a sense of what are you going to explain to my young girl at the age of 11 or 12? Because I think, again, they're not sure what information should be given at that point.
Yeah. As I said before, we have to do two learnings at the same time here because most mothers don't know this for themselves. So we have to support and educate the parents at the same time that we're educating their daughters. And so I love doing that. And both of the programs that I work with are able to do that. I like moms to think about taking their daughters on an epic road trip journey, right? Through puberty, adolescence, and womanhood. And so that's what I do in my online course is the first module is all for her. It's But First Mom. And we talk about her story and unpacking what she's learned in her journey becoming a woman and where she's at today so that she can actually give that to her daughter. Mm-hmm. And that's how kids like to learn. They learn and they love seeing transformation happening in their parents. So if you're thinking like, oh, I haven't learned how to chart yet, I haven't been taking care of my own fertility, or maybe I had a hysterectomy, or I'm on the pill, or I've done these things, it's not too late. You can still learn about how the body functions and share what you learned from that with your daughter. So in this thinking about going on this epic road trip journey, it's the fact that it's going to be fun and exciting. But as we all know, road trips are not always perfect, right? We get flat tires and there's challenges and things that come along the way. But if you do this and plan with your daughter, you're going to talk about where are we going? What do we need to pack? And what's going to be different today than before? When you all have young children and when we go on a trip, we pack everything for our kids. But in the time of puberty and moving forward, your daughter's learning how to do that for herself and how to pack the things that she needs. And in that too, she's going to be bringing all of the questions she has about anything to do with this journey towards womanhood. And when we allow them to ask all the questions they want, it's going to be a lot more interesting to them instead of just asking the question, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Not even knowing where they're really going, right? So it's just really being very comprehensive and like moving through this together and making it a family event, where the dad is going to be involved. And I really encourage both of the parents to be there as a part of this journey through and being excited about it. I was on a Clubhouse call yesterday and hearing a few of the mothers talk about how they're making it just a natural, normal thing happening in their home. And I'm like, that's it, because I can't wait till it's normal for young women to say like, I really enjoyed puberty because my mom or my female mentor were there and made it an enjoyable experience and that they really enjoyed it. And we need to move away from this whole, like the talk, because it's not one talk. Right. We are going to be having many touch points along the way. So there are tons of new resources coming out. Like we've for a long time said, no one's talking about this. Well, people are talking about this now. There's a lot of young women programs coming up now. And you should really send your daughter to all of them. Because we need to, the more programs there are, the more they're going to see how normal this is. Because right now, if you go to the doctor's office, you're not hearing about this perhaps. You don't have a lot of friends talking about it. But the more girls that get involved, they're going to be a part of really switching this culture. So the Cycle Show, basically, as I shared, it's a 5-hour workshop. And it's hands-on, beautiful materials. And they actually go through the narrative of what happens in a woman's body when she achieves a pregnancy. And then what happens when she does not achieve a pregnancy. And then also what's happening in her body as puberty is happening. And we talk to them about the hormone, again, how cool they are, the estrogen girlfriends and the progesterone party planners, and how they are doing good work in her body and that we want to protect them and take care of them as we go through our whole life as a woman. And again, as I shared, that's a program that is in person. So we actually have 3 certified instructors with the Guiding Star Project, which is the licensee of this program. So we now call it the Guiding Star Cycle Show. And we travel around to different locations, and organizations will host us to come. And we do a parent presentation the night before. I also give the parent presentation once a month online as a webinar, so you can join in that. And the parent presentation gives you an overview of everything your daughter is going to learn, so that after the workshop, you can continue the conversation. And then Dr. Elizabeth Reith Paula has her book, What's Going On in My Body. That is a complement to that. So the parents can read it with their daughter, come back to it often at different phases in her development, and using that same new type of vocabulary that she learned in the cycle show. So it's an exciting time to be able to look into the eyes of 16, 9 to 13-year-olds sitting around me. My most favorite part of this workshop is when I get to look at them and say, you are a double champion. And all of us are. And what this means is this. They get to learn that at the time of their conception, at the beginning of their life, they were chosen twice. They were chosen 1 out of 300 million sperm. And they were chosen the best egg out of 400,000 eggs that were available. And that one sperm and that one egg came together to create you. So at the very beginning of your life, you were a double champion. You were the winning sperm and the winning egg. And they are like, wow, that's amazing. And at that moment, they realize that they are so unique and so valuable, and that they have such a purpose in this world. And we talk about all the things that you love about yourself and all the things that you don't love about yourself right now. It's okay, because you were the winner. And the fact that they can understand their dignity at that moment, and the person sitting next to them has the same dignity, it really gives them new eyes for the world. And that's really where we need to start. And we have to understand that, yeah, we might be scared about talking about puberty and like the change and sex and all of this, but really it just comes down to their dignity and how amazing they are. And, you know, when you have a newborn baby, you are so elated, like, oh, this is my child. And to be able to have that same awe and wonder with them and explain that to them again is just so beautiful, and walking through that time. So that's the cycle show. And it's just, it's a wonderful thing. I can't believe it's my job that I get to help do that and empower parents. And they really do feel that they have the tools and the resources they need as they go through when we support them in this way.
Carrie, I cried a little just double champion. I'm pregnant now, and I'm like, oh, my children. That's such a beautiful way to explain that. Carrie, I love that so much. A double champion. Oh man. Carrie, you're doing amazing work. Amazing work. Okay, so we're wrapping up here. So in terms of what Kari offers, we'll be sure to link her information in the show notes. But there's two main programs. One is in person. It's actual, like Kari said, a 5-hour workshop. And then there's another service that she offers, which are online courses for the mother and the daughter throughout weeks, like a course of weeks. So if you're wanting to learn more about Kari, we'll definitely be sure. And then also, Kari, can you share your like social media following information, website, any of that stuff, so our listeners can be sure to jot that down?
Sure. Yeah, I am, as Jamie said, I do have the Charting Health for Young Women course, which is about a 6-week long, 6-module program online. And you have a lifetime membership. So it allows you to come back to it as your daughter goes through these different phases. As I said, the first module is all for the mom and as she prepares. So even if your daughter is younger than the time of puberty, it's fine to begin the program so that you're ready. And for sisters, right? So you can take the next daughter through, which is so wonderful in that. Yes, you can find me on YouTube at Ashwood Fertility Care. Center. And then on Instagram and Facebook, I have Kari Beadner, Holistic Women's Health Advocate handles, as well as Ashwood Fertility Care Center, where you can find all of these programs there. If you go to ashwoodfertilitycare.com and click on the Young Woman tab, you'll see all the information about the online programs and the cycle show, and the book, and all of that is linked there as well. I'd love to connect with you more too. In the show notes, you'll see a link that you can get a free download of 7 ways to connect with your daughter during this time. And that's just going to guide you to intentionally connect with your daughter and begin this epic road trip journey through puberty and adolescence and on into womanhood. And remember too, moms, that your daughter needs you even when she's out of your home. So continue to be there for her and be that place, that safe place that she can come back and talk about her period, talk about her cycles, and gain that important insight from you throughout that time.
Awesome. Kari, thank you so much. We normally end with, what do you wish every young woman knew about her hormone genius? So like in a 20-second recap, which basically the whole episode today was that. Do you want to share any last thoughts about what do you wish every young woman knew about her hormones?
Absolutely. Yeah, I actually want every woman, young and old, to know that your body has been made good and that you have a unique natural cycle. And it is possible, no matter what you have experienced in your life thus far, to be able to connect with that unique natural cycle, and it will change your life. And I'm so glad that I did that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kari, your joy in spreading this information is captivating, and it really does amp up the awe and beauty around it when you have someone present the information in such a joyful way. So I really thank you for your witness and for opening up your heart to be called to this mission to serve young women. It's such a beautiful thing, and I'm so grateful to know you. And I just want to thank you for being on the podcast today. And I hope everybody who really wants this information reaches out to you next.
Great. Thank you, ladies, so much. You're such a joy in my life as well. And I'm so glad we have this podcast to share all of the episodes that are touching in different points. And I've gained so much wisdom from my own journey as well. So keep up the great work and spread this good news.
All right. Thanks, Kari. Thank you so much.